Welcome to the elbow and wrist mini mobility class. Today we're going to be focusing obviously on the elbow and the wrist. Some things you might need for today's class is going to be 2 full water bottles or some light dumbbells. Anywhere in the 2 to 10 pound range is going to be good for today. We're just going to be using it for one thing, so if you don't have that, no problem. You can still do the class, don't worry. Okay, so we're going to start off with our kind of pre-class assessment by doing both an elbow and a wrist car, which we'll repeat at the end. So starting with the elbow, we're going to go into whatever position is comfortable. I'm using this position so you can see me in screen, but standing would work just as well as a shin sit for this one. Do you want your arms to come straight? And we're going to go into full supination, so palms up. And then from there, imagine doing a super heavy bicep curl as you curl the hands towards yourself. When you can't go any further, you're going to rotate the palms out and then do that heavy tricep extension as you straighten the arms out. We'll do 2 each direction. So again, palm up, we curl all the way in. We're going to rotate palm down, do that heavy tricep extension. This time keeping in that pronated or palms down position. We're going to curl back up. Rotate so the back of the hands are going to slowly push towards the ground. We'll switch. Back of the hands curl up towards the shoulder, can't squeeze anymore, so we're going to rotate out and push back down until the arms go straight. Second one is going to be the wrist car. So jam your elbows into your sides so they try not to move the shoulders. From here, we think about peeling the wrist back. We're going to come in towards the pinky side, curl the wrist towards ourselves, out towards the thumb side. We're just going to go one with a closed fist, so going back out towards the thumb. Curl towards your forearms, pinky side, peel back. Good, because the next time now we're going to go open hands. So remember, try not to curl through the fingers. Stay disciplined, keep that hand flat. We're going to start by pulling them towards ourselves so they look something like that. Into the pinky side, start to peel the hands back. Come to the thumb side. Halfway, we're going to come back out to the thumb side, rotate around to the pinky side, pull hands towards yourself, keeping the fingers straight. Shake it up. So first up, we have our elbow loaded capsular car. So this is where the water bottle or the light dumbbells are going to come into play. We're going to be doing pronation and supination. So that's going to be turning of the wrist in 2 different positions. One is the arm straight, the other is going to be the arms bent. So grab onto whatever you're using. We're going to start with the arms out straight. You can squeeze the dumbbell or water bottle, whatever you're using. If you don't have anything, you could use a ball, anything you can kind of squeeze and put some pressure into. And then we're going to go through pronation, so turning the palms down, and supination, turning the palms up. One thing to watch out for is as you go through this is watch for the shoulders to want to get involved too. Right, just controlling at the elbow. So as soon as you feel that upper arm start to want to move, that's where we'll stop. Keep squeezing whatever you're holding as you rotate each direction. We're going to go one more each way. So all the way into pronation, squeeze, 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 all the way into supination. Turn those pinkies up, and you can relax there. The next one we're going to do is up in a curl position. So imagine you just did a bicep curl. Squeeze whatever you're holding. This time rotating, that's going to be our pronation. And then supination. And again, we're going for 5 repetitions here. Here's our second. Keep squeezing that. This one's going to be a bit easier to limit the shoulder getting involved because the elbow's bent. So we can really drive into those end ranges as we squeeze a little bit more. Totally normal to feel some muscle burning at both the elbow, maybe even the bicep there. So next up, we're going to go through pails and rails for the wrist. So specifically wrist extension. So wrist extension is basically this position. It's common in a push-up to feel some pain or discomfort just from that loaded position. What that can be from is the difference between your active and your passive flexibility. So passive is when I push this, I can passively get it here. But if I let go of that push, You can see it springs back up. That's about as much active range of motion as I have. Okay, so you can compare those two before we get started, is just push yourself into a passive position. And that's roughly the position we're going to want to hang out in for our passive stretch. And if you let go, right, we're going to try to close the gap between those two. All right, so we're going to do that in the all fours position, and we'll get you to rock back a little bit as you can control how much load is going through your arm that way. So the further you rock back, the better the less load and less wrist extension you have. The further over you have, the more wrist extension, the more load you have going through your wrist. So find what position works best for you in terms of where you might be able to get a stretch. But if you feel any pain on this closing angle, right, that's where we back off. We can sit onto our heels a bit more. If you don't, you can lean into that a bit. So this is going to be our passive position. We're going to hold here for 1 to 2 minutes. As we hold here, I'm going to explain our two contractions. The first one being a Pales contraction. The second one being a Rails contraction. Okay, so the Pales is going to be my fingertips pushing into the ground and imagining like I'm creating a wrist flexion movement. Okay, so I'm trying to create this motion. Of course, my hand's on the ground, so nothing is going to move. But you should feel the muscles up here working as well as in your hand. Our Rails contraction is going to imagine now you're pulling your fingertips up towards your forearm here. Again, nothing is going to be moving, okay? So don't expect to see anything great and grand, but what you might be able to find is as you try to pull back of the fingertips towards the forearm, you can sink deeper into your passive stretch, okay? At the end of this, we're going to do what's called a passive range liftoff to help close that gap between our active and passive range of motion. Okay, so we're getting towards the end of our 1 to 2 minutes here, so we're going to start ramping tension into our Pales contraction. Again, that is fingertips pushing into the ground like you're curling the wrist. Nothing is going to move here. We're going to slowly ramp our tension up 20% of our max effort, 30%, 40%. Now as we ramp past 50, be aware the wrist can be a bit finicky, so you are going to work up to your greatest, safest effort. As we build 70% of that, 80%, if you hit a point where you start to feel any pain in the wrist, just back off. Hold what pressure and tension you can without any pain or discomfort. As we lock in our greatest, safest effort here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax that pressure. Red returns to your fingertips. And then you're going to imagine pulling the back of those fingertips towards the back of the forearm. As we rock further into that position, again, only until we feel any pain or pinching in the wrist. Keep pulling up for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. There's one round. We're going to go for 2 today. So when you're ready, you can slowly start to put that pressure back in through the fingertips. We're pressing through all 5 fingers, thumbs included. This alone is a good tip for the push-up as we ramp tension. I'll explain why. So keep ramping up 10% at a time until you reach your greatest, safest effort. In a push-up, we want to push through our fingertips to spread the stress out through our fingers and hand as well as the wrist. If we just let our fingers relax on the ground, a lot of that pressure goes through the wrist. So this can be a helpful tool in training the push-up as well as making it pain-free. All right, we are approaching our greatest, safest effort here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Allow the red to return to the tips of your fingers. As we keep the elbows straight, we pull the back of the fingertips as hard as we can towards the back of the forearm. Keep pulling, keep pulling. We got 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax in that position. So again, this is going to be our passive position. The next thing we're going to do is called a passive range liftoff. So we're going to do something similar to our Rails contraction where we're pulling the back of the fingertips towards the forearm, keeping the arm straight, and then we're going to slowly rock back until we can pick our fingertips just up off the ground, because we're pulling the wrist back for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can relax and rock back into your passive range. We're going to do 3 more repetitions just like so. So fingertips pull towards the back of the arm, elbows stay straight. Once they lift off, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rock back into that passive range. What do you say? For the last one we do 10 seconds? Let's do it. So rocking back for that last one, we're pulling back of the fingertips up towards the back of the forearm. They lift off, we hold 10, making sure the elbows stay straight. 7, 6, 5, keep pulling, 3, 2, and 1. Good, rock into that last passive hold. And we'll come out of there. If you need to do some just gentle wrist circles, get some blood flowing in there once again, maybe shake them out. That's okay. We'll finish up with our reassessment cars, so hopefully seeing if we have more range, but at the very least you should have more control over these cars by the end of the class here. So palms face up in supination to begin. We're going to curl fingers towards our shoulder, rotate pronation. We push down like we're doing a heavy tricep extension. We're going to do 2 reps of each car, curling back in, rotate, push back out, keep them pronated as we curl back in, squeeze as much supination as we push back out, rotate back down, and the last one here. Good. The second one being a wrist car, so we're going to do one with a closed fist, one with an open hand. So closing the fist, elbows in by the side. We first feel, what does extension feel like now? We did work on expanding some range of motion. Does it feel less pinchy? Maybe more range? Maybe both. As we're going to go one circle all the way one way. Good, control that the other way. And then we'll open the hands up. We'll go one each direction as well. So again, peeling the hands back. Come pinky side, around. And the other direction, we'll start thumb side, curl towards ourselves, pinky, peel them back, and we're done. Have a great day.